VoxDay, VoxDay.blogspot.com, Infogalactic. So, it's been interesting to see the reaction of people to what happened in Charlottesville and to what is happening in the reaction to Charlottesville. Now, for I don't know how long I've tried to just assume that the alt-retard, as I call the AltRight, was at least mentally functional in some capacity. Okay? But what's amazing to me is that these guys are complete and utter frauds. They're total phonies. They have absolutely no utility to the alt-right at all. They have no interest in preserving Western civilization. They have no interest in preserving America. They have no interest in preserving the European nations. Okay? These people, the alt-Reichtard is actually the correct term for them. And the thing is that, the guys like Mike Cernovich and Jack Posobiec, they had pretty good instincts to just keep away from them. Now, the thing is, they did actually serve some utility during the election because they did a good job of triggering the other side. Okay? And that's fine, But the reality is that they're little kids. They're mentally childish. And I realize this because they're just they're talking about how, dude, we can trigger faggots in the left. Okay, people are actually dying. The left is actually trying to kill people. The USA is actually under significant threat. And these children want to run around triggering people. Okay? And the thing is, I finally thought I had a good example to explain them, to explain to them. There were, for years, the Sweden Democrats found it difficult to get any traction because some of the people that were involved in the founding were, either some sort of involved with some sort of neo-Nazis or whatever. All right. Now, what they did is they basically cleared that out, focused on nationalism. They had a great video, Europe Belongs to Us. You should watch it if you get a chance. And what they've done is they've gone from being a total nothing to all the way to becoming the third largest party in the Swedish parliament. They're on track to become the largest party in Sweden. Now, they do have some problems. They have cucked a bit. They're not as aggressively nationalist as they should be. Frankly, they should be pushing it even harder because of what's going on in Sweden. The commenters are right. The same thing with the National Front. National Front, or Front National as they're actually called, they basically kicked out the LARPers and said, we are French nationalists. We stand for France. So in France, you've got the Front National, you've got the Generation Identitaire, and they're making very significant and real progress. Okay? Now, and so when you tell people this, some of the more serious folks realize, you know what? Okay, maybe it is a bad idea. Maybe no, we're not talking, no, I mean, seriously, are you people retarded? You don't go from National Socialism, German supremacist imperialism, to civic nationalism. You go to actual nationalism. You go to omni-nationalism. You go to genuine nationalism. Okay? You're not running around. I mean, here's the thing. Even somebody pointed this out, and I thought it was a really good comparison. Even if you manage to fumigate the Nazi symbology, even if you manage to somehow achieve what they say their goals are, they say their goal is to normalize the Nazi symbols. Okay? Even if you manage to do that, where have you gotten? You have gotten to the point, where the Tea Party was. Now you're running around with your little stupid outfit and your little tri-corner hat and your powdered wig. You get nowhere, you get nothing. That's the thing. Some of them are serious, some of them are trolls. It doesn't matter. It is, if you're serious, you're retarded. If you think you're trolling and being funny, then you're even dumber. Because it has now gotten real. It has now gotten serious. All right? The thing is that's so ridiculous about it is that they are trying to base their strategy on a single tactic that has proven unsuccessful for decades. You're not going to find it so funny, tee-hee-hee, when you find yourself arrested for it. All right? There is nothing useful to be learned from a defunct and defeated German ideology that has been defunct for 70 years. Okay? Deus Vult is useful symbology. You think Deus Vult doesn't trigger way more people around the world? When Islamic terrorists are stabbing women on the streets of London because they are crusaders? No, I mean, here's the thing. No, but first of all, you need to back off a little bit. No, the fact that the alt-right has been labeled as Nazi is irrelevant. Everybody is labeled as Nazi. Ben Shapiro has been labeled as an alt-right Nazi. Okay? How do we stop the alt-retards? We call them alt-retards. We call them alt-rightards. We make it clear that if you're running around acting like a Nazi, you're fucking stupid. You're fucking stupid and you're useless. All right? I don't like getting into purity spirals and that sort of stuff. I don't like that sort of thing at all. But the reality is, I dislike actively stupid people who are behaving in a counterproductive manner even more. All right? So what do? When you get involved in a rally, what you do is you tell everyone flat out, you're not allowed any National Socialist symbols. None whatsoever. We have security teams here if you start chanting anything, if you start putting on armbands, if you start unveiling, swastika flags, you will be escorted out. No, this isn't appeasement, you moron. This has nothing to do with not offending people. This has nothing to do with that. Exactly. When you're rolling in shit and you smell terrible, then nobody wants anything to do with you. All right? It is absolutely ridiculous. The Confederate flags are fine. The Confederate flags are a symbol of Southern nationalism. That's fine. The fact that people get triggered by it and whatever, so be it. Okay? That is a point of legitimate contention. So, anyhow, the point is, here's the thing. People the alt-retards like to say, you're falling into the media's plan, you're doing what they want. No, you're wrong. The media wants you to run around and call yourself a Nazi. Okay? The Jews are not the issue here. The Jews may be a small part of the issue, but they are not the issue here. It is absolutely and utterly and totally stupid. Yes, you are alt-retards. You can say fuck you all you want. You're retarded. You're irrelevant. You will never accomplish anything. Okay? Who is the big issue? The big issue is the globalists. Some of them are Jews. Some of them are Christians. Some of them are Chinese. All of this goes back. This is much older, much older than 15th century Talmudic Judaism. All right? This goes back to the Tower of Babel. I know considerably more about all of this stuff than you do. All right? Absolutely nothing that you're going to say is going to change a single thing because I already have all the information that you have. All right? So with the point is, if you think about it, just step back and think about this for a second. If you consider the fact that Talmudic Judaism did not even become dominant until the Muslim occupation of Spain, then how can you possibly think that all the globalist evil stems from something that was created that late? It's not possible. It's not possible. Why do you think that the European Parliament building is modeled on a medieval painting of the Tower of Babel? All right, I am getting rid of this guy. He's a retarded guy. Of course, they're always trying to bait us into everything. We know that. That's why I don't respond to that. The point is that the only answer for defeating evil is by doing what is right, by speaking the truth, by asking for God's help. Here's the thing. How did Gideon beat the enemy? He got rid of all the weak sisters. He got rid of all the people who are not serious. We're not going Buckley here. Buckley was evil. Buckley was controlled opposition. I'm not advocating for purging. I'm advocating for standards. All right? I am advocating for people understanding that you can't simply run around being a jackass and expect more competent, more intelligent people to put up with you. The alt-right is inevitable. You guys need to learn that I am always internally consistent. All right? Buckley was opposed to the actual right. Buckley was opposed to the actual Americans. All right? And so the point is, you cannot convince anyone to join you if you are going to coat yourself in dog poop and go running around going, be like me. No. You know, I am not going to run around denouncing people. You know, people keep asking me, what do you think about Spencer? What do you think about Anglin? What do you think about this? I'm not interested in talking about my opinion, in discussing my opinions of them. But what I will tell you, I mean, what I'm telling you now, I'm not counter-signaling. I'm telling you, don't be a fucking retard. And if you're going to be a fucking retard, I don't want anything to do with you for the same reason that I don't want to allow somebody who's blind to drive me in my car. Absolutely nothing good can come of it. I mean, listen for a second. Just listen. Don't react. Listen. You have a tactic. Okay? The tactic is to normalize Nazi symbology. Okay? Whether that is a correct tactic or not, you cannot possibly win anything by simply religiously focusing on the use of one tactic at all times, in all circumstances. That doesn't work. Even if the tactic was a good tactic, and it's not. It's a stupid and ineffective tactic that has completely failed for decades. The West no longer has time to put up with that sort of thing. It is useless. It is just a tactic. So start learning the difference between strategy and tactics. Start figuring out how you're going to win. And here's the thing. This is what completely changed my perspective today, was basically talking to a few of these alt-Retards. And the reason that I realized that they're just hopeless is because I said, do you want to win, or do you want to trigger the left? And they said, you know, we just want to trigger the left and explode heads, conceptually. Well, you know, they're totally useless. They are absolutely, there's no point whatsoever to permitting them any participation in saving the West, because they're not interested. They're not interested in winning. They're just interested in LARPing. You know, when I say the alt-right is inevitable, it is because of the historical trends. It's not because anything that I think, it's not because anything that I know. It is because the patterns of history indicate very clearly what's going to happen. And just because some of you will take this as a bit of black pilling, you shouldn't. Yesterday was totally irrelevant. Yesterday doesn't matter. Yesterday will be totally forgotten within 2 or 3 media cycles. How many people are thinking about... No, there's no need to disavow. Okay? There's no need to get formal about it. All I'm saying is that every time you see some, alt-retard pulling this stuff, you just tell him he's a fucking moron, and you block him. We don't need him. I mean, not only do we not need them, they're actually worse than useless. And so, I mean, I don't like to confuse people too much, but yes, the cliodynamic forces are on our side. We are riding the trend. We are riding the cliodynamic waves. Everything from socionomics to cliodynamics to all of the trends are working in our favor because we are post-peak. All the positive social, here's the thing. There's a book, it's called At the Crest of the, I have it here, it's like At the Crest of the Wave or something like that. Prechter wrote it for about 2000. And so, we are at the end of the biggest wave of positive social mood in history. And so the way that this thing works is that everybody got really, really fat, rich, happy, and stupid. I mean, literally fat and literally stupid because of this massive wave of social mood, credit bubble, all the craziness, the immigration, we're all the same, all that kind of bullshit. That was all predicted by Robert Prechter. It's all expected, it all exactly as we thought. We are now past that wave. We're past that peak. We are on the way down, and it is going to go down further than you think. Yes, the right has no use whatsoever for Nazis. None. They're National Socialists. Okay? What happened to Embrace Your Extremists? They're not our extremists. Extremists are ruthless people who are ruthless about winning. These guys are useless. They're not interested in winning. They're not. That's what we need to understand. They're not our extremists. They're not extremists at all. They're just basically play actors. I mean, they can do whatever they want. I don't care. They can denounce me and go, oh, you're cucking, blah, blah, blah. It's totally... I mean, think about it. They declared war on Milo, who promptly went out and twice sold the #1 book, put his book #1 on Amazon. The Torch March was awesome. The Torch March was great. They should have gone home after that because they clearly weren't ready for any actual opposition. And that's the thing. I mean, that above all, when who was it? That Kessler was his name? That video of him, running away and getting tackled by a girl. I mean, what was that? I mean, it's true. We really don't have extremists. I'm sure we will eventually. You know, when the wrong thing happens to the wrong people. But if you're not interested in winning, no, we don't fight against identity politics. We accept identity politics. We don't have any choice but accept identity politics, because identity politics are upon us. Identity politics are about that. White gal, that's because you're stupid. If you're not intelligent enough to understand me, that's fine. If you want to run around, if you want to put on your swastika panties and run around and think that you're making a difference somehow because you upset somebody, nobody cares. That's fine. Do what you want. But don't pretend that I or anybody else are going to take you seriously, because we know you're not serious. We know you just want to dress up and try to make an impact on some people. You're right. You're not one of us. Go away. So the thing is that, there's no time. There's no need for them. I have no idea whether it's a girl or not, but it's fine. What now? The same thing that we've been doing. Keep speaking the truth. There's going to be the march at Google. Posobiec's idea for marches at Google is a great idea. There's going to be more marches. There's going to be more activity and that sort of thing. And I also fully expect that some, most, etc. Let's see. For some reason it's not letting me block right now. I was going to say poll is our true extremists. And so, how should we embrace identity politics? Well, we should embrace identity in politics by understanding that you don't get to choose, you don't get to vote. If you look at the trend of Generation Z, they are increasingly, I think 80% of the young white men, Generation Z white men, and 70% of the young white women will vote for, would have voted for Trump. So there's a huge, huge racial gap. Richard Spencer, I don't know. What I know is that Richard Spencer would really ideally like to be running a think tank. That's what he wants to do. So I don't know. I don't know. And so, but the important thing is to understand that if you want to be influential, then you need to speak in terms that people are going to understand. Are rallies worth it? I think they can be, but I don't think that. I think that rallies should be held in areas that are friendly. I think that if you look at the difference between how things went in Huntington Beach versus how they went in Charlottesville and so forth, I think that my internet connection is iffy tonight, so that's why. But anyhow, the point is that if you consider yourself part of the alt-right, then you need to ask yourself what your objective is. You need to ask yourself what your priorities are. Because if all you want to do is, trigger people online, you're no different than the sad puppies, than the moderates, than the Ben Shapiros. Ben Shapiro's entire shtick is triggering the left. And so, but again, don't worry about trivial setbacks like, what happened in Charlottesville. Don't worry about, don't worry about the next time that that Richard Spencer says or does something that the media manages to blow up. It's irrelevant. Remember that my point of view is that America is very close to descending into actual civil war. The stress index, the political stress index, as calculated by Peter Turkin, is at levels that have not been seen since just before the Civil War. In 2016, the level was at 1856 levels. And so, no, the Mountain View Google March, the March on Google should continue. But if you're going to do an overt alt-right rally, if you're going to do a Men of the West rally or that sort of thing, those things should be done in places that have friendly authorities. Rallies are for morale and also to signal to both friendlies, neutrals, and others that they are, that there are growing numbers. And so, but yeah, rallies in enemy territory makes no sense. So, if you want good tactics, read the 4GW handbook. Pay attention. And so, anyhow, but that's my point. And so, I'm not saying that white people should apologize for being white. Not at all. I'm saying that if you want to support the nation, then be a nationalist. Nationalism is the inevitable trend. Nationalism is the way of the future. The future does not include trying to revive the dead and defunct symbols of defeated foreign ideologies. Events like Saturday don't matter. Events like Saturday don't matter. They're irrelevant. Don't get worked up and emotional, either in a positive sense or a negative sense, when these things happen. All right? Again, read Tolstoy. Read Tolstoy. At the Battle of Borodino, even though we think of the Russian general defeating Napoleon, Tolstoy demonstrates that at no point did anyone who was in charge have any knowledge of what was going on, much less the ability to make a decision to affect the outcome. What will be, will be. Yeah, Tolstoy is a totally religious ideology. And so, anyhow, the point is that if you're going to get involved, then you need to be in it to win it. Trump didn't run for president in order to trigger people. Actually, you need people sitting in ivory towers capable of seeing what's going on in the larger scale. You can't make the good decisions when you're at the ground. I haven't said anything about violence one way or the other. So, anyhow, the important thing is, the situation is what it is. Accept that. Be realistic about that. Be wise. Be smart. And don't overreact to anything. Antifa is not nationalism. Antifa is globalism. It's anti-national. So, and like I said, the Nazis are useless. They're actually, I've said the alt-right is inevitable. I've said that repeatedly. It is